everyone, this is Nimish. Welcome back to my channel. Happy Diwali once again. Yesterday I reviewed the big release of this weekend, Big Hill, starring the one and only Thalapathy Vijay. So if you haven't watched that yet, definitely go and check it out. I also watched the second Tamil release of the weekend, which is gaining a very positive word of mouth, KAITHI, starring the very talented KAITHI and directed by the very talented director Lokesh Kanagraj, who previously directed Managram. That was a very well received and successful film. I have reviewed that film also on my channel, so definitely go and check it out. It is a pretty interesting discussion because it was a very interesting movie. So let's get right down to KAITHI, which also stars Naren, who is from the Malayalam film industry. This movie essentially is again similar to Managram. It has three different plot lines that come together and that are depicted throughout the movie very separately, but then they come together, and sort of how it progresses, how the characters evolve, and how the story evolves and comes together is the basic approach of this movie. And I think that the director, right from the word go, make this very interesting approach where you have no time to breathe immediately from the movie starts. It's out there, like you are going in the movie, entertainment begins, story begins. There's no need to build up a lot towards the story. There's no need for wasting time with any other unnecessary plots. There was just go entertainment value in the power pack 2.5 hours of this. So it's definitely worth a watch. Now the USP of this film is that it is very unique. I have not seen such a story being told before. I have not seen such a story being pulled off in the Indian film industry before. Now there are of course the subplots that seem to be something familiar that you might have seen before in terms of what is happening in the movie, but overall it is a very unique execution, and I think that is what kept me glued to the screen. Karthi's performance is absolutely stunning. He's just getting better with every movie and is becoming one of those very bankable stars that who will deliver content, quality, as well as entertainment, as well as has this sort of mass stardom and connect to him. Which brings me to the point where in the movie there are there are scenes, quite a few scenes that are catered to this mass element of Karthi. It is a superstar in the making, but there is this sort of mass elements thrown in. So there is the action sequences where one guy hits a lot of people and beats them down. There are those sort of mass walks, mass looks, all those kind of things happening in the movie. And I'm not sure if that was thrown in by the director's ambition of making mass elements with concept as the story, or it was something that other people sort of promoted and ended up in this film, because when those scenes come, you clearly notice that this is only thrown in for the massy elements, for the fans, for people to cheer and applaud and to give it a sort of gringy look. It sometimes takes away from the movie because that sequence is so massy, but the movie is so organic and natural that sometimes you feel that it's out of place. But I'm not sure if this was the director's vision or it came to be because of the casting, the goals of the actors, producers, the audience, everything, all those kind of factors. But that was the only thing that sort of felt out of place. Other than that, even Naren, who's been appearing in fewer movies of late, he's I believe primarily from the Malayalam film industry. I've seen him in a couple of movies there, but he seems extremely healthy. He seems extremely, fit in this movie. He perfectly plays the role of the police officer. He looks strong, he looks intelligent, he looks sort of ruthless, he looks capable, and he looks like a boss. And that was very important to pull off. And in my mind, I wouldn't have imagined him pulling off this character that well because of his previous roles that he's done, which are much softer and emotional. But over here, the way he pulled it off, it was just super convincing. So I think on the performance front, everyone delivered very well. The villains are sort of similar to most villains that we see. They are out and out rowdies, they are out and out bad. There's no element to them other than the fact that they're just bad. And so that is something that in general Indian films need to sort of maybe work on and explore. We focus so much on the main positive oriented characters or the heroes and the actors of the film that sometimes we just tag villains as villains instead of humans. And so if that was explored a little more, that would have been nice. Other than that, it's clear that Lokesh Kanagraj with Managaram and Kaidi is here to deliver good films. There is a Tarantino type influence to him where he puts a lot of subplots, interesting characters, throws them in the mix, and sort of goes towards a climax where they're all going to come together and things are going to go crazy. So it was very interesting, this movie. It all for the plot and the storyline of the movie, I do feel it could have been 15 to 20 minutes shorter and more crisp. There were scenes where the emotions were explored, the fight sequences were put in, which I felt could have been trimmed one minute at a time to bring the movie down by 15 to 20 minutes and make it absolute entertainer. Something like Thiran, which is Karti's other movie, wherein also, the first half was, you couldn't move, you couldn't breathe, you couldn't do anything, you were just watching the movie. But the second half started dragging the action sequences, I felt. There were a lot of running around and chasing and cat and mouse, which takes away from the attention span of the audience. So those kind of things are just editorial aspects, but I think this is definitely a movie everyone should watch. It is a unique attempt, it is a brave attempt, it is filled with great performances. The background music is fantastic. It is like it's like the star of its own in this movie, without which the movie would not be what it is. So I highly recommend watching Kaidi if you haven't yet, and at some point in your life, don't miss this movie. It is definitely a very interesting attempt at doing something different. I'm going with 3.5 stars for Kaidi. Like, comment, share, subscribe, and keep watching for more.